Welcome to Agent Unstuck Calls, where we talk to real estate agents who are experiencing a challenge in their real estate career and they're looking for an alternative solution. Hi, I'm your host, Mike Cerrone with MastermindAgent.com, and I'm excited about this episode, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Nice to meet you.
You too. This is so surreal, because I look at your the summer summits.
Right. So, and you've been to our summits. Did you like them? Were they helpful?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. How can I help you today? What challenge are you experiencing in your real estate practice that you want us to talk about?
Well, I think my challenge is probably universal at this point. I think a lot of agents are experiencing, this historically low amount of inventory. And when we do find, the right house for our buyers, then we are in it's almost like the most competitive multiple offer situation I've ever seen. So it's been very challenging getting them over the finish line.
You betcha. Yeah, and that is happening everywhere. It's not just you where you're at, it's all across the nation, all across the continent. I've been talking to people up in Canada with the same problem.
Wow.
Talked to someone in Australia with the same problem. I bet you anywhere we go, they're going to have the same problem because of the loose money and coming out of the pandemic and everything else. Just so many factors that have played into it. The key is to be flexible and to move with the market, right? To adjust. And that's not always easy when you're in the middle of it, is it?
No, it's not.
Now, I saw that you had some notes, and you had notes on the fact that this was a hot market, and you had notes about working with a buyer. You also have notes about working with a seller, or whether people are even going to put their home on the market, knowing that it's a tight market as far as needing to
I have a couple of people who are sellers, potential sellers, who are holding back because they are afraid that once they become buyers, they're not going to have anywhere to go. So it's sort of a kind of a catch-22. What I have thought about, though, is concentrating on those sellers that don't necessarily have to find a house. Maybe they're selling a rental, or maybe they're deciding to move out of state, and they just need to sell the property here and they're going to rent somewhere else.
That's an interesting approach. First of all, it's kind of interesting. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Somebody doesn't want to put their home on the market because they don't feel they'll have a place to go. By not putting their home on the market, they make the market even tighter, creating more of the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It just kind of keeps building on itself. Funny how we create create more of the problem that we already have. Let's go to your ideas, though. Let's develop that a little bit. So you said, what I'm hearing is you're thinking of talking to non-owner occupants, basically investors. That's who you're thinking about working as far as a seller, or somebody who's moving out of state. Now, they still have the buy challenge on the other side, but I'm guessing you mean like a relocation person. They're moving no matter what. So they're definitely going to sell, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, pick one of those that you think you would like to work with, and how would you go about finding them? So which one do you think sounds the most interesting? And let's start talking about that.
Well, now that you're mentioning investors, it says my internet connection is unstable.
We lost you for a minute, but we have you back.
Okay, good. I was just thinking, there's an organization of investors. Maybe what I could do is go to a couple of their meetings and start networking with them to find out, what their plans are with the homes that, that they have.
I think that sounds great.
I'm not real big on cold calling, but networking, I can do that. Most of my business actually comes from, my sphere of influence. So I I'm thinking maybe that's what I should do. Just kind of get more investors in that group, in that database.
That's a great idea. So let's open that up. So we'll go down the investor route, working with investors. Have you worked with investors before?
A little bit. The few that I have been, they were on the buy side. Yeah, they were, pretty much buying properties just so that they can rent them out.
Well, you have a foot in the door then. You could go back and talk to those folks and see if they're ready to, if they need to sell, if they didn't like it and they want to cash out. I was going to say you could talk to them about moving up into another property, but now you got the challenge again of the buy side, right?
Yeah.
However, remember this, you got to do the long-term vision of the market. This market will change. It will slow down. It'll soften. And at some point, it'll even get ugly on the low end, right? Where nothing's selling at all. But in the meantime, again, we're right where we are. I like your idea of going into the meetings. It sounds like what I heard is you don't like calling a stranger on the phone, but you don't mind walking up to a stranger face to face.
Right.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I understand completely what you're talking about. I'm a lot more, in fact, when I started my career, I would door knock because I could absolutely just see somebody face to face and say hello that I don't know. But it was harder for me to pick up the phone and call people that were random. So that's neat. Do you know of any meetings in your area for investors?
I have been receiving emails from a particular investment group. They have meetings like once a month. I've been ignoring them, but now I'm thinking I need to take another look at that.
Yeah, you might want to pull together as many of these groups as you can find and go right at it, right? Your whole objective, it sounds like, is to build relationships.
Yeah.
And meet people and see what they're doing. This is an interesting avenue for you. How big of in your area, is it a lot of population? What I mean by that is there a lot of activity and inventory and investors to talk with, or are you more a rural area?
No, I'm in the metro area. I'm in Metro Detroit.
So there's a lot of activity there.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, good. So Metro Detroit area, and there's a lot there. So you probably can find, I bet you'll find a lot of investor clubs. Let's try to think of some terms to search for. So investor clubs, groups. Do you remember the name of the one that you were thinking of, what it had in its term that we could use as a search term?
I don't remember, but I can definitely search for it in my email because I didn't delete it. I just never opened them.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to pursue that.
So we got real estate in the title, investor or investors or invest, and then group, club, membership. Trying to think what else we could use for some search terms. I'm sure some of our listeners will come up with any. Are there any more you can think of?
No, not right now. It'll come to me at 2 in the morning.
That's what you want to do, is brainstorm, grab a friend and start brainstorming some ideas and then put it into Google, because it'll take all those different names and mix them up and spit out stuff that, I guess your city name, right? Your city or the general area, like even some smaller cities or, not neighborhoods, but smaller cities or towns, because you're in a metro area. Maybe even the county name. So
yep, it has a county name. Yep.
City, county, town. You might even try the state, as in they have a local group of the state organization. Like the realtors, we have the state organization and then we have a local one. So you might try the state name. So Michigan there, right? And then you try Michigan with all those terms, and then maybe there's a state meeting, a local meeting for the state, the local group. Boom. So that's how we may be able to find them. And then you go to their website and look up when they're having their meetings. And if you need an invitation, or if you can just show up, even if they have an invitation, I just show up. I bet they're open. I bet you could just
I
show up.
think they were open.
You might pay a small fee to enter, but you know, they're a club. They want people to show up and
Exactly.
talk and
Yeah.
exchange ideas. How would you approach them? What would you do?
Well, I think the first thing I would do before going to the meeting would be to come up with a script and just kind of practice that, before going, cold turkey on it. And I do have, I have a ton of scripts thanks to, your agent summit. I can kind of look for something with the Mike Ferry scripts that he had given as a gift. I'm sure there's something there that I could probably tweak.
I bet you there is. Let me give you some ideas. There's some things are just coming to my mind as we're talking about it. The first thing is, I think that you should go and be a fly on the wall. The first meeting you should go to, just enter and find out what it is. Are there 3 people there, 30 people there, 300 people there? You know, what's their format? What are they talking about? What's the vibe you get off the place? Do you feel comfortable there? Are they talking your language? You know, or are they talking above or below your knowledge base? Are they talking about something you don't want to get into? Maybe some strange, weird financing that doesn't make any sense. You either will need to learn about that, or maybe you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to be there's a whole different universe of people there. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay,
You
so
were saying to be a fly on the wall, and I like that because you
yeah, so
mentioned they
just
may
go
have
in
some
and
kind of
check them out.
strange financing things going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that because right now I am dealing with a person who's talking about using hard money and stuff like that, and I'm not real comfortable with that.
and that's
So
what you got to decide. If you want to jump into this world, you have to start understanding their terms and concepts, and you may find out that you love it and you become an investor. You never know, right? Or develop more of your investment portfolio, whatever you got going. Or you may get in there and say, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't like what they're talking about. I don't feel good here. I don't want to be here. You don't know until you jump in. So that's why I'm thinking maybe be a fly on the wall first. And as I mentioned earlier, as many of those groups as you can, right? Maybe there's 5 or 10 or who knows how many there are. And you may find you gel with some and not with others. You kind of find who you feel good around, and that's who you want to hang with. And I think that that's going to be a really good approach. And I wouldn't worry about walking in with a script. The only script, here's the script I want you to learn. Ready? Okay, write this down. Hello. That's it.
And just let them talk.
Just hello. How you doing? And then just be curious, right? Oh, I'm new here. What are you guys doing here? What's happening? What are you guys talking about? What do you guys like doing? Are you an investor? What do you invest in? What do you like? Do you like residential, commercial, apartments? You find out what they're investing in. How long have you been investing? Just be curious, and the way to do that is ask questions, right? Ask questions and let like a little kid, the why. That's the way. That's the mode you want to get into, and just take it in, right? And meet people. I wouldn't hide that I'm a real estate agent, but I wouldn't throw it out there at the beginning. I would just, if it comes out in the conversation, say, hey, that's great. I'm curious about investing, and I'm a real estate agent, and I'm trying to find out what you all are doing here. And in that one, you say, I received an email and I came over to check it out, and I just thought I'd see what was going on. And see what they're doing there. I think it'd be a fun project no matter what. And I think you should give yourself a timeline to evaluate this thing, say 30 days. That by the end of 30 days, you're going to know what it is. And if you like it, you're going to have a plan of action of how to pursue it. And the other reason for the 30 days is it allows you to find all the meetings in your area And if they have a monthly meeting, you have just now covered them all. And
Mhm.
you'll know, again, who you like and who you don't, and how, the fit.
Mhm.
And I'd be open and just be curious and have some fun.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I think that sounds like a plan.
This might open up a whole new area for you. In the meantime, one other piece of that puzzle is you may want to pick up an investment book. Well, let me just ask the question. Are you an investor? Have you ever invested in real estate yourself?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so just pick up one of those investment books. Doesn't matter, just a general one. I'm sure, the old days, they used to have that for dummies series. Those usually actually are pretty good. Investors, real estate investors.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do have an investment book here. Gary Keller.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, I think they have a good book that it's the mirror of the red book, right? It's the blue book, I think.
Exactly. I have both.
Yeah, you might want to dig into that blue book. That's a great idea, just so you can
Yep.
get some general ideas, terms. But you don't want to walk in there and sound too sophisticated. You want to walk in there and sound like, hey, I'm here to learn what you guys are doing, right?
Mhm.
And make everybody else talk.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
that old idea of there's never a dumb question,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Just always just keep asking and be curious. You might want to bring some cards with you, but I really wouldn't push anything at the first meeting or two or three. I'd let those relationships develop more naturally.
Okay.
Kind of gravitate towards the people that you like and you get along with and you get a good vibe or feeling off of. And that's who you're going to see at the next meeting. You go sit by them and talk to them, although you want to mix it up a little bit, but you get the point. You're building relationships.
Yeah. Oh, these are great ideas. Thank you.
You betcha. I have one more for you. If this thing is going well and you really like this area of the business, you can get a designation called a CCIM. And I'm trying to remember what that stands for. Commercial.
CCIM.
Yes, CCIM. I know it's CCIM. Cool. And maybe that'll help as well. And I think you'll get a gut reaction after, say, the first three. You'll be like, yeah, I could see myself living in this world. Or, no, I'm going to go back to what I was doing or try something
Yeah.
else. But then you'll know. Within 30
Yeah.
days, you'll know.
Yeah. I'm always open to learn new things, so I think this would be interesting.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to give you an assignment. I love to give people assignments.
Homework.
So let's walk through it. So here's your assignment. Your assignment is number one, to make a list, to do some research and make a list of all the investment clubs in your area.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, find out when their next meeting is and put it on your calendar.
Okay.
And that's it. I just want a simple assignment, although that could take a little bit of time, right? You're going to do some Google searching. We gave you some terms. Get a list of all the investment clubs, put their next meeting on your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, go.
Yeah.
And just be curious. Have fun. Smile. Bring a big smile.
Okay.
Right? Big smile. I love, with COVID and everything, maybe it might even be online now. It might be a Zoom call. Who knows? Depends on what's happening in your area, but find out what it is. I'm sure they're doing something. There's no way they would have just stopped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my question for you now is, when could you get that assignment done?
Definitely. I'm going to say by the end of July for sure.
End of July? Cool. When could you get the list done and get it on your calendar? Could you get that done a little sooner, like in the next couple of days?
Absolutely. I can get that part done within a week or so.
Good. Give me a deadline and a date. It's really important that you set the deadline and the date. And again, this is for the part where you're just researching, listing out who they are, and putting their next meeting on your calendar.
I should be able to have that done. Oh, I would say by the 11th of June.
11th of June. Cool. And what time would you have that done?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Excellent. And the last piece is accountability. When you're done with that list and you have it done, I want you to send me an email and say, hey, Mike, I got my list done.
Okay.
And on that list, I want you to tell me how many you found. I'd be curious.
All right.
And that is your big assignment.
Okay.
Cool.
I can do that.
Well, this has been fun. I cannot wait. I can't wait to hear the feedback on this. I think this is going to be exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was interesting. This was really cool.
Awesome. Well, that's it for Agent Unstuck calls. It was a lot of fun today. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and click that like button. And if you want to hear more calls like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when the next episode is coming out. And if you have any thoughts about what you heard today and you'd like to relay that to everyone else, go ahead and put that down in the comment section so people can talk about it. And finally, if you're stuck in your real estate career, you're a veteran who's having some challenges and you can't figure out how to get to that next step, go ahead and schedule yourself an Unstuck call. Just go to agentunstuckcall.com. That's agentunstuckcall.com. And let's get you scheduled in. You'll go in there, you'll fill out a quick survey, you'll find a time that works for you, and we'll get on a call just like this and see if we can't get you some answers. All right, this has been a lot of fun. I'm your host, Mike Cerrone with Mastermind Agent. And again, thank you for joining us on Agent Unstuck Calls. Take care.